What made me decide to start coaching was there was availability of the new women's program. I've wanted to stay involved in wrestling since high school. I didn't have the opportunity when I was going to BC to be on a women's team, and I always wanted to find ways to come back to it. So in addition to refereeing, I felt like coaching would be a good way for me to still be involved in the sport. My name is Andrea Prise. I am an adjunct agriculture instructor, and I am also the head coach for the BC women's wrestling team. I'm originally from Los Angeles. I grew up in Diamond Bar, but I've been in Bakersfield since I graduated from high school. How I got into wrestling was I actually wrestled in high school. I have 4 older sisters, and one of them actually wrestled too. I waited until she graduated and then I joined, so I only wrestled 2 years in high school. But then I also, when I came back to Bakersfield, started refereeing for the High School Wrestling Association. The recent history of the women's wrestling in Bakersfield College. Last year, 2023, was our inaugural year as an actual sport. While we have had women that wrestle with the boys team, that was the first season that we were competing against other schools that had their own women's team. It's groundbreaking. I'm so honored to have the ability to be part of it, to help build it, to work on establishing our prestige of this program. This is our second year as a program. There's a lot of other colleges that we compete against. They've been around for years, and they are from heavily recruited schools, so they have bigger rosters, more wrestlers. So we're pretty much starting from scratch, and it's just in the first year to this year, we're already starting to build. And I'm hearing more high school students that are like, oh, I want to come wrestle next year. Oh, I'm 2 years out, but I'm going to come to BC. It's so exciting because, again, the ones that I referee, I'm like, okay, I'm going to see you here, and then I'm going to see you in college too, right? And they're like, yeah, we're going to go do it. It's awesome to be a part of it. The growth of women's wrestling is just amazing. It is the #1 fastest growing sport in America, not just boys sports, girls sports, sports in general. I think we have about 48 states in the United States have been sanctioned for girls wrestling in high school. Colleges left and right are adding programs. D1 schools are actually talking about adding their programs as well. It's just an exponential growth of year by year. More programs are adding, more girls are wanting to get into it. It's really cool to see that contact sports aren't just for guys. And what I really enjoy about wrestling is that, yeah, it is a physical sport, but it's also mental. It's also emotional, it's also technical. You can be the strongest person, but with wrestling you have to be in a weight class. So you're within like maybe 10 pounds, 5 pounds of another person that you're wrestling against. Strength doesn't always win. Sometimes it's technique, sometimes it's speed. Sometimes it's that lady who's tired and I'm gonna keep going because I'm not tired. Or I'm tired but I'm gonna just keep going anyway. So that's the mental aspect of it. To host the first ever women's wrestling in our own gym in all of Kern County for college, that was just like groundbreaking, right? We've never had a women's wrestling college match in Bakersfield. To never have a college match for women's wrestling, it's almost like, well, why hasn't it happened before? But to be a part of it and to say, well, now it's happening, it was a very big event, and it was a lot of pressure, right? It was a lot of like, okay, we got to do good, we got to show good. I hope people come, and people did come, and there was a lot of support in the stands. And the men's wrestling team coaches were here and supporting us. Coach Marcos Austin was part of the program last year. He was helping out as the assistant coach. Honestly, he was pretty much the head coach, but he really set the standard of how to run the program, and to see that he's still supporting the program, it was very special. And the girls really felt how special the day was, and they're still talking about it, and we're still talking about it, and town's still talking about it. So it was a really special event. The first match that's ever been in our home gym for the women's team was against Cerritos. Cerritos College is a very well-established program. They are the top teams. They are the returning state champions for the women's teams in California. But every single one of those girls stepped out on the mat and they were ready to wrestle and they were excited, and yes, they were nervous, but they were using those nerves to continue forward. And it was a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and match by match we were just like, okay, we're gonna make this move. And we made some moves that we've been practicing. And then of course we had a couple heartaches, right? We really thought that we were gonna win this match or make this move. And when it didn't play out, it was more of we came back and the next day we like resettled and we're like, okay, how do we wanna get better? We just saw the toughest team in the state. What do we need to do to match? And a lot of the girls were like, okay, it was scary, but it wasn't that bad, so we can do this. And it really fueled the fire. I mean, after that, we've just been rolling since, and we're building that like intensity of going into that match, being ready for it. So while it didn't turn out how we hoped, we did learn a lot from it, and we really are building off of it. At the beginning of the season, we actually had all of our wrestlers write down their goals, what they want this season. I really want to continue to work towards getting those goals met so that they feel like their season has been fulfilled. I also want to get them to set new goals so that we're always building on top of what we've already learned and achieved. For our wrestlers, I just want them to be more confident in what they do. I really want them to be able to look into what the match is going to be and not have the fear, not have the hesitation. I want them to go out and really just do their match. That's where a lot of good wrestlers can get better, by just believing in themselves, believing in their teammates. That's really something we've been building on, is like getting a stronger team itself. Because although wrestling, yes, it's an individual sport, it's one person on the mat against another person, you still need your teammates to build on each other. My goals for coaching at BC, I am trying to be better than I was last year. Sometimes better than I was the day before. Like, how did I explain that move? How do I help this wrestler become a better student? Those are my goals, of like always improving day by day, year by year, so that I can help my wrestlers improve on themselves. And my coaches too. I really find it's been a great opportunity to have some assistant coaches, because now I can kind of help build them, because at some point they're going to want to go be head coach. I want to put them in the position to feel confident to do it. What I want my students, what my athletes to leave with when they're finished with the program, when they're sometimes just finished with the season, I want them to know that everything that they've done, they're building on it. Every time that you spend in yourself is going to benefit you. You're always going to benefit betting on yourself. I hope that the time that they spent here, that they really enjoyed. They got everything they wanted out of it. I very much enjoy being with these young athletes. I very much enjoy helping them learn, grow on the mat, off the mat. I never leave this place feeling like I shouldn't have come. It's always worth it. I hope they always feel that way when they come in and when they leave. It's a very dear to my heart type of program and a sport, and I'm just excited to be part of it. I don't see it going anywhere. I just see it continuing to get bigger, and that there's a lot of girls that see it as not just like a sport, but it's also like character building. In the room, I talk about, you might be feeling this way on the mat, but what we learn on the mat doesn't just stop there. It goes out to your life. It's how you work in here is how you can turn around and work on your life as well, whether it's school, your personal, your work. So it's very relatable to day-to-day life. Goals for the future of the BC Women's Wrestling Program would be state champion. I mean, we need state champions. I know in Kern County that we have state champions. I feel like we have state champions on this team right now. What I want is to be able to show that to the rest of the world. You know how hard your wrestlers work. You know how good of people they are. But until you have something on the wall, some people don't really see that as justification. But I know it's there, and that's what I hope for them. That's my goal, is to get them to be able to showcase their best. So I'm just so happy to be part of this. I started that last year. I'm just so excited to be part of it, to be the coach, to be involved. It's such a rewarding sport. Physically, I feel better about myself being back involved with it, right? It's a sport that I'm glad to be a part of. I want it to keep going.
10 years? Okay, Amanda.
BC on me! BC on 3! 1, 2,